This film contains actual accounts and depictions of war. Some material may be graphic and not suitable for all audiences.
Time is 1951.
Hey, you're about to watch episode 3 of Struggle Beyond the Decade documentary series. I'm Cameron Tross. Hope you enjoy.
About Black Lives Matter. He said he was upset about the reason for the shootings. He was upset at white people. He wanted to kill white people, especially white officers. We cornered the suspect. Tried to negotiate for several hours. Negotiations broke down. We had an exchange of gunfire with the suspect. We saw no other option but to use our.
I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful.
After my visit to Kansas, I headed to Dallas to catch up with my next interviewee when this happened. With all the recent issues with veteran suicide, now one man is being labeled as a veteran committing acts of terror. All the negative energies centralized around racism is bleeding right into our political system. It's like widespread panic. It's like the world is a giant boiling pot, and we're all stuck in it together. The struggle's real everywhere. This is a struggle beyond the decade.
I was raised in a pretty religious family. I was raised LDS, and so honor, integrity, always telling the truth, always doing what was right. That was just kind of grained into me growing up. You always did the right thing. And so going into the military, my dad was in the Air Force, and so the military was just always kind of there. And so going in, the values were, to me, the same. There wasn't anything they were throwing at me that seemed different. You did the right thing, you told the truth, you did your job. It was actually a way to get into school. I had graduated high school and I worked 3 years as kind of a CAD monkey doing computer drafting for a couple different companies, whether it's manufacturing parts or one company was putting in fiber optic cable into the DC area, and we would draw what the field engineers drew on paper, we'd put it in the computer. And so when I started looking for how do I get into school, that actually led me into the military. I was kind of combining two different passions, and going into the military was going to get me closer to at least one of those, if not both. I mean, as I said, the military was always kind of there, but when I was looking at joining the military as a way to get into school, I had two options in front of me. I either wanted to do architecture or I wanted to do mechanical engineering, specifically weapons design, and tanks were just, to me, an awesome thing. So I walked into the recruiter's office and I said, I want to design and build tanks, so put me on a tank and not as a mechanic. And I want to do 4 years.
Live from Dallas. that little song's head over, it was about this big.
Bust your bubble right now, Ricky guy. You know more Alabama.
That's a YouTube piece of shit. Stop talking, running your mouth. Get your ass over there to take it to get fueled by yourself. Get over there.
Ricky Garner, man, from Alabama, small town Alabama, Cortland. Graduating class, man, was like 45 people. And I was graduated high school, 3.8 GPA, so I'm thinking I'm the smart guy. And we, I was voted most likely to succeed, so because I was always had a positive outlook on life. Well, you know, tried out for the scholarship at UAB Medical. My whole intentions of coming up, I want to be a doctor. So I was like, you know, that's what I want to do. I said, you know, physical therapy, kind of what I want to do. I want to be like a sports medicine guy, help out with football teams, do stuff like that. Paid my $100 application fee to go to UAB and waited and waited and waited. And didn't hear anything. So I was like, okay. So I had a scholarship to go to this community college that I had been going to from 9th grade. I had literally been, during the summer, I would go to college, and they told me I could come there, but I didn't want to go to community college. I always wanted to do something bigger. And my town was so small, I knew that when I graduated high school, that I didn't want to stay there. And so waited for UAB to get with me, and nothing ever happened. Then I talked to Alabama State. They wanted me to come down and play football. I said, okay, I'll do that. But, you know, still, you know, that was something I really wanted to do, but I didn't want to do. And so my cousin Reginald was down at UAB playing football, so I wanted to go down there. Well, nothing had transpired, so all of a sudden, man, it just came to pass. I said, if I want to go to school where I want to go to school, I need the money, and we didn't have the money. And my mom, single parent, did everything she could for us. And you know, I was tired of growing up with hand-me-downs and stuff like that, so I said I'm gonna become my own man. So when I talked to the recruiter, once I talked to the recruiter, you know, they put me in a delayed entry program, talked to those guys for a while, and then I ended up going to Fort Knox. Fort Knox, Kentucky, man. I was, this is something, I'll tell y'all something that nobody knew about me. Once I went through basic training, or AIT, once I left AIT, I was debating whether or not I was going back. I went home, I was at home for 3 months. Army didn't even know where I was at. I'm chilling. Then next thing I know, my mom finally tracks me down. She tells me that they're calling looking for me. And they told me that if I didn't show up, I was going to jail. So I said I'll go report. So I ended up going to Huntsville. They fly me out of Huntsville. I flew from Huntsville to Chicago, from Chicago to Dallas-Fort Worth, and from Dallas-Fort Worth to Kansas City. So my first duty station in the Army was Fort Riley, Kansas. So I get to Fort Riley. I leave, I go to Fort Riley, and they tell me, hey man, the unit you're going to is getting ready to deploy to Iraq. I said, psst, whatever. I said, I'm not going. I said, I'm just gonna be getting there. Okay. So I get there, go through reception, get to the unit. First thing I do is I walk into the building. I find the first sergeant and the commander. I said, hey, Specialist Garner reporting. Hey, goes, oh yeah, we've been waiting on you. They said, you got your TA-50? I said, oh, Roger, I got my TA-50. So just take it out back, paint the bottom of your duffel bag, store it in the Connex. They said, you're leaving for Iraq in 2 weeks. I said, I don't even have housing yet. So then we go on a rush, get housing. And we end up deploying, and freaking, that's where the madness begins.
Show me the video while I'm trying to drive through zigzagging roads. And
guy literally pulled up for supposedly for a broken tail light, and then they come to find out it's not.
Oh, she was like, can't believe you just did that.
Shot him 4 times.
Hey, I think it would be good if we go down to the Dallas Police Department station. They got a big memorial site down there with flowers all over police cars.
So that I'll see that.
And we go get a little.
Be assured, the Dallas team is working quickly to assist you.
Is this it?
It's probably it around here somewhere.
The suspect said he was upset about Black Lives Matter. He said he was upset about the recent shootings. He was upset at white people. He wanted to kill white people, especially white officers.
Thank you for holding. Your advisor will be back momentarily.
Get anybody with a blue ID card. I'm sorry.
Do you really think if there was supposed to...
They would have went off by now.
Exactly, and they would have people down here right now? Come on. This is a stage. This is a government stage. There was no problems in the protest. It was peaceful. Everybody was holding hands. Everybody was getting along. As soon as we left from the old red court building, hit that corner and turned down this way, that's when the shots fired. And all this was staged. And those officers were sacrificed. The government know what they do. It's the same thing they did in Orlando.
So you think it was a distraction to take your mind off something else?
Correct.
Very possible.
Is this where it actually took place, right?
It's right there. Where
Right here in this parking garage here in the El Centro. Where we was marching at, we probably was a good 500 to 800 feet away. Like we wasn't, like I can actually take y'all to it and walk y'all where we came from and everything. And when the shots went off the first time, everybody ran, but we stopped because it sounded like fire. That's how low it was.
Man, the energy was crazy, but now it was time to get down to business.
I didn't even have a crew, man. The crews were full. So they made me the training room NCO. So I was like, here we go again, I'm not on tanks. And I have this thing with numbers. So when I read a number, I have this thing about locking numbers in my head. So in the office, I'm typing everybody's paperwork, everybody's socials, doing all this stuff. And I would literally walk past a person in the hallway, look at their name. Hey, you're so-and-so, social, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They like, stop that.
Okay, 1372, Western Barger, 7563, Robert Putnam,
Tell me, Ricky, you know Robert Putnam's number?
4579.
What about Western Barger's?
7563.
What about Bob Lumen's?
Bob Lumen, 4375, Bob Lumen.
You know, I said, I'm sorry, man. I said, this is just where my brain works. And so they told me that I was going to drive for the commander. I said, okay, cool, whatever. We get to Kuwait and we're go down and pick up the Humvees and things like that. And once we pick up the Humvees, we're driving up from Iraq to Navstar. We stop at Navstar. That night, we're breaking out cots. Well, me being a silly person I am, I almost sliced my finger off setting up a cot. I go to open the cot, and the two bars that meet in the middle, my finger was in the middle. All I heard was crunch. And I dropped it, and I stuck my finger in front of the commander. I was like, sir, look at this. Is it gone? Is it gone? And he just laughs at me when we wrap it up.
Garner, get that finger checked out.
Yes, sir.
Get your finger stuck in a cot.
Little Iraqi kids are coming up to us in the middle of the night trying to sell porn to us. Mister, you fiki. And I was like, no. And so we get in, man, and you know, I think we stopped maybe twice on the entire convoy. And as we're driving in, I had already explained to the commander that I was a tank commander at Fort Knox, and you know, my whole issue, I got in trouble and stuff. You know, new place, new you. That's the process. So they weren't gonna hold that against me. And we're driving in, and the first day as we're driving in, we're listening to the radio. While listening to the radio, we're hearing on the radio, Charlie Company is out on mission. They got there prior to us, and they were in a dogfight. And we're listening to this because once we got there, you know, we were communicating back and forth with the convoy channel, and so we switched to just see what's going on in the battalion, and we're listening to all this stuff going on. So commander said, get to the motor pool. So we get to the motor pool. I didn't have a tank, but they put me on the tank with the commander. So we take off, and we're out there, and it's first day literally in Iraq, and we're fighting. That was the day that, if I'm not mistaken, that was the day we lost Singh. And I hadn't met Singh. And everybody was telling me, but the camaraderie that I'd already bonded with my brothers, I felt as if I knew Singh. And it hurt. I was just like, there was anger, but at the time, man, reality really hadn't set in that we were in it for we was in a war. We knew we were on a deployment. Guys were still kind of laughing and joking. We were still having a good time prior to that. But then when Singh died, man, it was a wake-up call. It was like, we're losing guys. And at that point, we were like, we're not gonna lose anybody else. So at that time, you didn't meet, if you were wearing the same uniform I was wearing, you didn't meet a stranger. I mean, I walked up, I was the new guy, and I was walking up to guys just talking to them like I'd known them for years, because that is the type of mindset that I had. I said, I've played football my entire life, so I looked at it as a team concept. We had guys on the team that didn't contribute as much as the other guys, but that's not how we were rolling in. So when we lost Singh, I was like, I can't lose another brother, because I considered everybody family. Regardless of whether I liked you or didn't like you or didn't know you, it didn't matter. I didn't want to lose anybody else. So that was the mindset.
Hell, hey, we're getting a new gunner in here today, Garner.
Yeah, new gunner? I heard he's a new hotshot from that Fort Knox.
Oh, that gunner? Hey, I know the gunner, kid. He's a new gunner. He's gonna come in here.
Yeah, I heard he's a real hotshot, though. He was teaching lieutenants or something.
Oh, new gunner's coming?
Yeah, Garner's coming today.
Yeah, new gunner. His name's Garner. Garner's gonna be in here, and then he'll gunner. What's he looking at over there?
Lieutenant Neil Santoriello, man. That was the funny thing about meeting him is when I walked up to him and I looked at him, I said, I know you. He goes, I know you too. I said, Bolic class, da-da-da-da-da. He goes, yeah. I said, I failed you on 50 cal. He goes, yeah, that was you. He said, you were sergeant at the time. I said, yeah. I said, long story, man. And I said, he said, well, you're on my tank. I said, well, at least I know you know how to use a 50 cal now. And so we kind of laughed about it, And so I ended up meeting Daniel Galeen, Levi Bogdanovich. Boogie was my loader. Bogdanovich was my loader. Galeen was my driver, and LT was the tank commander. Well, I knew tanks inside and out, so it didn't take me any time to jail with those guys. Well, the first mission we went on, it was mayhem the first night. So we get there and we're rolling, and the infantry guys, they were getting shot at. They were taking RPG fire and AK fire. So there were two schools in the center of town. Blue school on the left side of the street was a boys' school. Pink school on the right side was a girls' school. There's this giant metal gate that closed in the front of school. Well, what happened was the guys shot at the infantry guys and ran inside the fence, the gate, and locked the gate. So the infantry guys are trying to get the gate open. So we pull up in the tank, and I started yelling at LT because I could see over the fence two bodies in the school running down the hallway. I said, yell at those guys, tell them to get out of the way. So the Bradley bags up, infantry guys got away. We hit the gate with the main gun, knocked the gate open. I said, load heat. Load heat, boom. They dropped the heat round in the tube. I lined it up, shot a heat round down the center of the hallway of the school. It kills one guy, but it blew past the other guy so fast that he fell down and it busted his eardrums. So this guy's literally got clear fluid coming out of his ears. The infantry guys bring him out, talking about death really isn't funny, but the funny part of the story is they bring this guy out. They put a sandbag over his head and they zip strip him. So they put him down on the ground in front of my tank. And I'm sitting there looking at him, and no, he can't see me, but I'm watching him, and every time he would kind of shift a little bit, I told Galeen, I said, Galeen, neutral steer left and right. Woo, woo. So he hears that noise, he sits still because he think we're about to run him over. I said, I just don't want to move. So there were some shots fired behind us. So I traversed to look back to see what's going on. And all of a sudden I hear outside the tank, you hear guys yelling and screaming, he's running. I said, who's running? I scan back over and this guy has a sandbag on his head, hands zip stripped, and he's hauling balls. Guys are chasing him. He runs down the alleyway, sandbag on his head, zip stripped, and disappears. The infantry guys lost him. I am dumbfounded. I'm sitting in the tank. How in the crap does a man that has a bag over his head and hands tied behind his back get away from you? So we come back in, man, that night, and we sat in the room and we laughed and joked. And me and Lieutenant Sam, we kind of sat there and talked, and I told him, I said, told him a little bit about myself. He told me about himself. I said, do you know what you're doing? He goes, what do you mean? I said, do you know what you're doing? I said, I'm not taking anything from you, but you are a lieutenant. I said, a lot of lieutenants are green. You don't know what. He's like, I got it. I said, okay. Hey, you got it. I got it with you, brother. I said, anything you want to do? I said, I got your back. We're cruising down Route Net, and it's more of like a frontage road, and there's a lot of grass and marsh area that's on both sides of the road. And we were on a convoy. It was probably, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 5 vehicles. And we're rolling. And so the main purpose was for us to go out to Route Mobile, and we were going to clear Route Net to make sure that the route was clear for Humvees to be able to go down through there. So if anything was going to hit, it was going to hit us. The tanks, tanks were slightly vulnerable, but we didn't have to worry about it nearly as much as a Humvee. Well, Buggy, Bogdanovich, and Galeen were in the tank talking. I'm sitting in the tank, I'm scanning left to right, so I'm scanning my sector. Because you got there was a Bradley, the tank, Bradley, 113, myself, and there was another Bradley following me. And Galeen and Bogdanovich goes, hey man, we ain't hit an ID in so long, I don't even remember what they sound like. At the end of that statement, the ID goes off. It lifts a 15-foot section of pavement up, and the tank is on it. And when it comes down, we land. I'm still holding the Cadillac, so as it comes up, I come out of my seat. I hit the roof of the roof of the tank. I come down, and I fall left, and I'm still holding the Cadillacs. So the cam on the breech comes down and hits my shoulder and knocks my shoulder out of place. I sit back up. We come to a stop. And the first thing, anytime we got hit with an ID, the first thing I would do is say crew check. I want to know if everybody's okay. Galeen's my driver. Galeen goes, I said, crew check, driver up. I said, gunner up. And I said, loader, TC. And I turn around and neither one of them was standing in their hatches. And so I start flipping out. I'm trying to get out, my shoulders are dislocated. I throw off my CVC. And as I go to climb out, all the hydraulic line blows underneath my stuff. And I got hot FRH flying in my face. I'm slipping and sliding trying to get out. And all of a sudden the hay line goes off. And when the hay line goes off, the first thing I do is I take a deep breath. We know when the hay line goes off, hold your breath, climb out. Well, I take a deep breath, suck in the hay line. I end up burning the inside of my throat. And I had to take a steroid inhaler for about a month after that. But I was still worried about my guys. So as I'm trying to climb out, Bogdanovich comes back down inside the tank. And he's sitting there and he looks a little dazed. And I said, Boogie, are you okay? And he just kind of rocks his head from left to right, and he goes, and he growls. It made me laugh because he goes, I said, are you okay? And he just jumps back out the tank. I said, what the hell just happened? So I'm making my way out, trying to make my way out, and the lieutenant comes back down the side. He goes, Sergeant Garner, you okay? I said, no. I said, I dislocated my shoulder. Well, I'm leaning against my CPU, but my left shoulder's knocked out of place. So he reaches down to grab me, and he grabs my bad shoulder, and I scream. I said, get your hands off me. I got it. So I start pulling myself out. How he spotted this guy, I have no earthly idea. This guy was probably about 100, 150 yards across this grassy field hiding behind a pump house. So Bogdanovich jumps off the text and starts running toward this guy. So I'm screaming at Bogdanovich as he's running. I'm like, Boogie, get back here. And he just starts like, pow, 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 pow. And he kills the guy. Well, as he kills him, he turns around and he has a small camcorder in his hands. This guy was filming the whole thing. He's like, all of a sudden, somebody starts throwing grenades at him. There was another guy out there. So Bogdanovich is running back toward the tank. And the dismount team sweeps from behind the guy that was throwing grenades, and they shoot him. The hardest day of my entire life is losing a brother. Neil Anthony Santoriello. All right, so once like I said before, he and I fought just like we were brothers, like we were raised together our entire lives. And so we were traveling down the MSR. We was heading toward checkpoint 60, which was a bridge in the center of town, right next to a mosque. And as we're going, there was always a checkpoint there. And at this checkpoint, there was at least two Iraqi National Guard guys and an Iraqi police, always at this checkpoint. Sometimes we pull up, talk to the guys, the way to familiarize ourselves with the guys so we know who's at this checkpoint. Not to be friends with them, but just kind of make eye to eye, face to face, so we know who they were. And so we were rolling that day, and as we were coming up to the checkpoint, I'm looking through the sights, and these guys looked extremely nervous. I still remember the guys' faces. So I'm looking at the guys' faces. And I said, LT, drop down inside and look at these guys. They look nervous. And he goes, Sergeant Garner, there's a 72-ton tank rolling toward them. Of course they're nervous. I said, no, something's different. I said, these are the same guys that are here every day. And I said, something's not right. I need you to drop down inside. He goes, Sergeant, I need you to scan left across the river. I said, I'm not scanning across the river. I need you to drop down inside and look at these guys. He says, scan across the river, or I'm taking the override and I'm scanning across the river for you. I said, if you grab the override, sir, I said, we're gonna have an issue. I'm in charge down here. Just please drop down inside and look through the sights. At this time, it was me, Denmore, and Shepherds. Shepherds was my loader now because Galeen and Bogdanovich had went over to the 6th tank and over to the commander's tank. And so I said, sir, please just drop down and look through the sights. And he said, scan across the river now. Roger, sir. Scan across the river. And the moment I turned the turret, it exposed the LT. There was a 155 round strapped to a pole, probably about 12 feet up. And all I know is there was a loud explosion, where we kept a cooler on the turret strapped over to the side next to the TC side. And when the explosion happened, I felt the tank rock. And Shepherds dropped down the side. Galeen, I said, he pushes through. And then we come to a stop. I said, crew check, is everybody okay? Driver up, loader up. And a lot of times when an ID would go off, the LT would get really quiet because he's looking around. So I said, LT, are you okay? So I'm still facing my sights. I said, LT, are you okay? There's smoke in the turret. And all of a sudden water starts pouring into the turret from the TC side. So I spin in my seat and I look back at the LT. I said, LT, he's still standing. I said, LT, are you okay? And I look up. And his first aid pouch on the front of his vest was on fire. I reach back and I grab the front of his vest and I pull him down. And as I pulled him down, his face was just mangled. His fingers on his right hand were broken. And my body just kind of locked up. I grabbed him and I just held him and just rocked back and forth and just kind of cried. I said, man, you gotta make it. You gotta make it. Because literally Lieutenant Santoro was about to leave country in 2 days. He was getting ready to go back. He and I talked and laughed and talked about him and Lisa. She had just gotten a minivan. They were planning on having kids. They were doing all these things. And I just kind of rocked back and forth. So I told Shepherds to drop down inside. As he dropped down inside, I stretched the lieutenant across the turret. I took his CVC and disconnected it because from the explosion and water got into the cables, there was this loud squelch going on in the turret. So I disconnected the stuff. I climbed up in the hatch. I connected mine. And I called up to Centurion X-Ray. I said, Centurion X-Ray, this is White. This is White 1 Golf. White 1 Actual is down. I am not sure of his status. I believe he's dead. And when I said that, I said en route to TQ right now. I called White 2, Sergeant Reed. I said, come to my location. I said,
anything in this location that moves, kill it.
And we're hauling. We had the tank maxed out. I'm standing up in the turret, tears flying out my face. Trying to stay strong, not allow my crew to see me break down. So I'm calling Centurion X-Ray. I said, tell the Marines at TQ to open the gate. If the gate is not open, I said, I'm running through the gate, or I'm shooting whatever's in the way. I said, tell them that. So we get to the gate, weave through the serpentine, gate is open. We're getting to TQ. There's people running PT. They act like they can't hear a tank coming. So I take my 50 cal, I lift it in the air, and I just unloaded some rounds. They spread, we get to the hospital. LT's not moving. I literally looked at him, and I had Shepherds put his hand over his left eye because from the explosion, his brains were literally trying to come out of his eye. So I said, I climbed down the side and I just grabbed him. I said, get out of the tank. Tell Denmore to get out. You guys walk away. Just get out the tank and walk away. So I'm sitting there and I'm holding them. Medics and stuff are coming out there and they're trying to climb down the tank. I said, do not climb in my tank. Stay out there. So I grab him. I said, I got him. And I started lifting him to come out the tank. And as I go to lift him, he goes, ugh. And I start screaming, he's alive, help me. The medics grab him, they pull him out, and I go into the hospital. First thing they do is they put him on the table and they run a tracheotomy. And I'm looking at everything and I'm breaking down. I'm covered in blood, I'm breaking down. Because that's my brother laying on this table. And the doctors asked me to leave. They said they're gonna take care of him. They said, we got him. They said, You got him here. They said, that's all we needed from you. So I step outside and I'm pacing back and forth. And well, like I said, I'm covered in blood. My mind is inside the tent with LT. And 2 Marines walk by. And I'm crying. And they look at me and they said, you need to man up. I looked at those Marines, I pulled my pistol, and I started walking toward them. I said, what did you just say to me? I said, my brother's in this hospital dying right now, and you're talking about man up? And a chaplain comes over. I don't know where this chaplain come from. He grabs me by my shoulder and he grabs my pistol. He goes, Sergeant, he said, put the gun away. I said, tell those guys to get away from me. I said, if they say one more word to me, I said, they will be inside this tent with my lieutenant. So I put my pistol back in my holster and I'm outside. I walk back to go check on the tank, make sure the guys were good, and I walk back. I told them not to climb inside the tank. Do not climb inside the tank, because the tank was just covered in blood. I said, just stay out the tank. I don't even want you guys to see it. So I go back, and Sergeant Fuller and First Sergeant Ochoa and Captain Miller all show up. And Sergeant Fuller runs in this, he runs past me and runs into the hospital. Once he gets in, he comes out, his face was completely red. He goes, it should have been me. And I grabbed him and I hugged him. I said, it shouldn't have been any of us.
That one hit hard. We had disagreed on some things the day before. So we weren't really getting along that day before. And in the morning when I woke up, my tank was off that day. So we were just gonna be doing maintenance in the motor pool. And when I woke up, I was told he was hit and was being medevaced. So we grabbed our stuff and we went down to the motor pool because we were told everyone needed to be down there. And got down there, and 2-1's tank had come back from the airfield, and that's when First Sergeant shows up, and that's when Sergeant Major shows up, and suddenly they want a platoon meeting, and we knew it wasn't good. So they laid out what had happened, that they had stabilized the LT, put him on a chopper to send him to Baghdad, and at that point he was gone. Yeah, his tank crew was there, the rest of his crew was there with us, and Sergeant Garner, I didn't want him having to deal with the tank. I didn't want his loader, didn't want his driver dealing with the tank. So, and if he sees this, he'll probably hate me for it, but I didn't want Sergeant Hill dealing with the tank either, because a level of finesse needed to be had. I didn't need somebody getting in there and loudly asking for things, because it was going to be a mess. So I climbed in and proceeded to clean up the tank. Now, I mean, the inside of the tank's white, and the inside of this tank was not white. So I signaled for a couple soldiers to come up, whispered to them what I needed, because off 20 feet away was his tank crew dealing with the loss of their tank commander. They don't need to hear what I'm asking for. I need cleaning rags. I need things to clean up. So I hopped down inside, and we did have one soldier hop in with me, Benavidez, and we just meticulously cleaned from top to bottom anything that wasn't white.
You'd be surprised what a little elbow grease will do when you're short of money.
Now, once we got it all cleaned up, just got everything off. Took it away, got it out of sight. Tank crew doesn't need to see it. I mean, that obviously still sticks with me today. But, you know, we had lost other guys, but this one was the one that hit closest.
Of course you wouldn't know about that.
No, I work for an insurance company.
His tank had,
Stick around.
They were on patrol, and at the bridge that crossed the Euphrates, it was the only bridge big enough to hold tanks. Just on the west side of that was a mosque that we always had issues with that mosque. We had been in several firefights right in front of that mosque, but we weren't allowed to take the mosque out. Right outside of that mosque was a big steel column from like a road sign or something, and it forced always a tank to move to a certain point of the road, because you couldn't have your gun tube over the side because you'd hit this big steel column that was embedded in the ground. And so we were trained from day one, vary your route, constantly move. So I mean, we'd be on our patrols, we'd be cruising down the highway, and we just switched to oncoming traffic, driving through oncoming traffic, making them scatter. Then we'd shift back over on our side of the road. So they could never tell what we were gonna do because we could do anything. But at that point, you only had one option. And it was a danger zone. I had brought it up that needed to change. We needed to take that out because it was an IED magnet. And the response I got was, well, we know to look there. And he was heading west, went under the bridge, flipped a Huey to turn back around, because that was a common turnaround point. And when they turned around and went past that column, gun tube had to be over the front, and the IED blew, and shrapnel went up and hit him side of the head. You know, his tank crew reacted and got him the hell out of there. Just hauled ass to TQ and got him to the medical as fast as they could, because we knew by that time we couldn't rely on the Marines to send medevac on time. They had promised us 6 minutes they'd have a bird in the air, but a few weeks prior we lost another lieutenant. We sat there 30 minutes on the ground before they got those birds in the air. Whether they could have saved Lieutenant Smith or not, we waited 30 minutes on the ground before those birds showed up. We couldn't trust them, and so his crew did what they had to do, and they just hauled their tank to the hospital. When I got back to Fort Riley, within 90 days of getting back, we were told, all you guys that were stop lost, you're going to be out December 22nd. So we got back beginning of September, and we were out December 22nd. So we were separated out from the units pretty quick once we got back and had our leave and everything like that. But, you know, we started having to go through the classes to ETS and all that stuff, and so we just kind of got separated. You know, my soldiers got a replacement gunner. You know, they got replacement guys coming in. I mean, I still checked in with them, but we were just kind of on the sideline. So I got out, you know, stayed in the area because I got accepted to Kansas State University and started going to school immediately the next semester. And I mean, that was rough. I was 8 to 9 years older than everyone I was in school with, and none of them had any clue about the world. I mean, they're just kids in fantasy land, and here I am just coming back from Iraq, and I can't relate to anybody. There's another student that joined the architecture program at the exact same time I did. He was the same age as me, had just gotten back from Iraq, just gotten out of the Army, and he was married. So we had the exact same story, and we just leaned on each other for the 5 years we were in college. But I mean, there was days that just, I'd go find an empty classroom in the middle of the night and just call somebody to talk. So I couldn't relate. I found out pretty quick that I couldn't talk to people about my experiences because I would laugh at the wrong thing that was extremely funny to a soldier, but everyone else no longer wants to talk to you because they think you're a little psychotic. And so I learned pretty quick, civilian world, I can't talk to anybody. So there was no vetting, there was no venting process at all. There was no options to vent. My guys were getting deployed again. They were going to different units. They were going to different countries. Yeah, I mean, there was, my buddy Josh in the architecture program with me, but that was it. Other than that, I just kept to myself. I didn't even talk to my wife about it because, you know, I don't want her giving me the same looks that I was getting from people in school. You know, I don't need her to know what was going through my head, because sometimes it would scare me, so why would I want to share that with her? I mean, I think I've grieved, and I think I'm still grieving. I used to wear a bracelet with Lieutenant Santorio's name on it, date, time, everything. I wore through 2 of them. They broke after, you know, enough time wearing them, and I ended up not getting a 3rd replacement, but I wore through them for several years. And whenever I went out to Virginia, and after graduating, I went out to Virginia and I visited him anytime I went up to DC, and I still do it now when I go visit family. I take a trip to Arlington by myself because I don't want anyone else there. I hate that place. I hate walking into that place with tourists there. I mean, I realize why they have tourists there, but I'm just waiting for the hot dog stand and the t-shirt stand to show up. I mean, I stop at the gates and have to turn around and build up the strength to walk in there. And I mean, I will always go there every chance I get, but I hate that place. Because it doesn't matter how well I think I'm gonna do, I don't come out of there unscathed.
I'm sorry, but I don't.
So, coming back, man, it was trying because, you know, we're so used to driving down the center of the road and all this stuff like that, and so I found myself driving down the middle of the road on the way from coming out of Ogden, going to Manhattan, going to the mall, and I'm in the middle of the road, and my wife like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm sorry, baby," and I get on the other side of the road. And I'm driving, there's a beer box on the side of the road, and I change lanes real quick. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, you gotta let me get back normal. I said, I'm reintegrating because, you know, I've seen things, done things, and it's not normal for me to be back home. But my wife has been a major part in helping me reintegrate. She understands some days when I'm frustrated and I don't know why. And when I start getting loud, you know, she's that faint whisper in my ear that calms me back down. In the beginning, she didn't understand. I snapped, she snapped. There's a lot of snapping. We're yelling back and forth. But then I started telling her, after being deployed, my mindset is different. It was everything, for some strange reason, was a life and death situation. Kids didn't clean their room. Why do you do this? You're told to do this. And so dealing with the whole PTSD aspect of it is you're still the same person, but you become a different person. You don't know when you're acting up sometimes. You really don't understand or when you react a certain way, that you have to bring yourself back to reality. And having a strong person in your corner will help you do that. My kids, I came back, I got 3 kids, Devin, Deanna, and Dominic. 3 Ds, my triple Ds. And I had to catch myself some days because I was yelling at the kids like the kids were my soldiers. And I was trying to explain to them that you gotta listen when somebody tells you something because you don't know what the outcome may be. And and I started realizing, I said, I can't talk to, I don't curse at my kids. I don't do anything like that, but everything was so critical with my kids. And then I sought help. I sought help through the VA, talking to them about my PTSD, which at the first I was in denial. I didn't realize that I had PTSD. I didn't realize what PTSD was. All I know is I got mad. But when I got mad, I got really mad. And some days I woke up mad and I didn't know why. And I was just like, and so I sat down and I talked with this lady and she explained to me, do you have outbursts of anger? I said, yeah. When you get mad, does your chest get really tight? I said, yeah. She like, do you reminisce on the things that happened while you were deployed? I said, no. She like, why? I said, I don't. So I found out what I was doing is I was bottling everything up. I was pushing it back, pushing it down and pushing it to the back of my mental. But when it came out, it all came out at once and I was coming out in anger. So, me being who I am, I love just doing things that'll calm me down. Cutting hair is one of the things that I've done since I was a child. And it is one of the most relaxing things for me. People, they do it as an occupation. I do it to keep me stable. I'm a jokester. I love telling jokes. And now bonding. This project that came out of nowhere pretty much for me. When I was here in Dallas at the mall spending time with family, and my boy Elijah Muhammad, we had just connected on Facebook, and he contacted me and told me that my boy Rod had committed suicide. And when he told me that, man, it hurt. It hurt to the point where I was wondering what could I have done to help him. And because a lot of us had lost contact with each other after the deployment. And when I thought about Muhammad and then I hit him up, and then that's when he told me all the information. Well, for some strange reason, it's crazy how a brotherhood is tight and you don't know how tight it is. So Aaron contacted me. Well, I saw on Facebook that, because when I was connected to the 134 page, I let brothers know that, hey, if you need me, I'm here. All you gotta do is just reach out to me and I'm there for you. Whether I'm on the phone or I'm driving to you, just don't do anything crazy before I can get there. If I gotta get up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, and drive 6 to 12 hours to you, I'm willing to do that. And so I saw Aaron was talking about on Facebook that he was gonna do this project. And so I contacted him. I said, I would love to be a part of this project because there's a lot of brothers in this situation that are dealing with the same thing that I was dealing with. And to get through this, we need each other. And talking with him, man, it was like, man, I was so ecstatic. Not just to be a part of the project, but to reconnect with my brothers. To hear how they're going on in their life, to see them doing positive things. And I expressed to him, I talked to him, and I said that this project is gonna help so many of us, and not even our brothers that were in 134, but other people that may be dealing with this issue. And they see this, and now they can figure out what they have to do to cope, because suicide is never the answer. Because I don't want to see you go, and I want to be there with you to help you through whatever situation it may be. And this project is going to be something that's going to help millions of people. It doesn't matter whether you're in the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard. It doesn't matter. Some people people on the streets. We recently just had this issue downtown Dallas, where all these people, and there were people. We spoke with a person today who, she said that she can't even sleep at night, and I expressed to her that she needs to seek help, because that is a form of PTSD. You never know what can affect you to make you act a certain way, because she says she sees things, and when she tries to rest and things like that, and it's crazy because, I deal with things, and I deal with it quietly. But some days I have to talk. I have to let it out, because if you let it out and you let it build, it's crazy. Because once we, I remember being a private at Fort Riley, Kansas, and Saving Private Ryan came out, and I was an usher at the movie theater, and we had a lot of World War II vets, Vietnam vets, come in, and they were watching the movie. In the beginning scene, when they were storming the beaches, and people literally got up and walked out of the movie theater crying in tears. And being a private, I didn't understand what PTSD was. And I sat and had lunch with a couple of those guys, and they were reliving some of the stuff, because they didn't have the resources and the things that we have today to help them get through this stuff. So what's it called, the 1,000-mile stare or whatever, it was real, and I didn't realize how real it was until I spoke to some of these guys. So this project is one of the most influential things and most positive things that I've seen in years, that's going to be able to help a lot of us get through some of the situations. And I hope that whatever part of my story that people will watch, that they can relate to it, I hope it helps, because right now I'm a positive guy, dealing with my family. I'm retired now, loving life. I love me some me. So what you can truly believe is Ricky Garner will never hurt Ricky Garner. So you can believe that, because I have a very strong support system, and getting ready to go back to school. That's like one of the major things that I'm a type of person that when I say I'm gonna accomplish something, I'm gonna accomplish something. And I didn't finish school before, and I'm gonna finish school now. So that is one of the things that's gonna help me in my life, and help me and my family. I'm at a good place in my life right now.
Got me to the point to where I saw that I needed help and was ready to seek help. Facebook group for tankers. It was USABO, and I came across it by accident through, I guess, a friend's post, and I just started following it for about a year and a half. I wasn't even a member of the group, and I think just commenting on stories and other guys talking about things they were going through and help they had sought, and guys kind of stepping forward for each other, got me to the point to where I knew, you know what, I can go seek help, and there's nothing wrong with it, because look at all these other guys. And so I think there's 5,000 Facebook members of just tankers and tank mechanics on this Facebook page that are they all come together. Some are active duty, other guys are retired for years, and that connection across the nation, I think, was really, really good, and it helped me get to the point of knowing that I could move forward with help.
And seeing that suicide is kind of at an all-time high right now, and it, for a lot of us, and it's, those numbers include Vietnam veterans and stuff like that too, but majority of them are a lot of guys that have returned home after Afghanistan and Iraq, and it's been like 10 years since some of those events have gone down. So why do you think that this is surfacing now? Why do you think it's becoming such a thing now? That what do you think is going into that's making guys kind of push over that edge?
I know, even though it's been like 10 years for a lot of the guys, probably most of that 10 years, they didn't seek help. They didn't get to that point to where they knew they had to seek help. And I think it's not that I can just tell a guy, hey, you need to go seek help, because he's just going to brush it off. No, I'm fine, I've got it. They've got to get to that point themselves. I've seen it with other guys. Active duty, my wife, we were at a barbecue, and she's like, hey, you should talk to Sergeant so-and-so. He looks like he's like you were a year and a half ago. You should talk to him. And it's like, I can't just go talk to him and say, hey, dude, you need to go seek help. It doesn't work that way, because if he's not seeing it, and so that's the difficult part. We've got to get it to where everyone can see it themselves and get to that point. And I think that's the guys that they go off on their own, they lose that connection, or if they do have a connection to the other service members, it's a small connection, and they don't always reach out. When Sergeant Rod took his life, it hit all of us by surprise. I mean, he had been talking to guys on Facebook the week before. Nobody knew he was in that situation. So, I mean, as a plea to the guys out there, reach out to your buddies. That's the only way they can help. That's the only way you can get help, is reaching out, and we will understand. This project, Struggle Beyond the Decade, is massively important for what we need to be able to survive and move forward and keep a brotherhood together. It is not worth the pain and suffering for your kids. It is not worth the pain and suffering for your spouse to take it any further. Reach out, talk to your brothers, ask for help.
Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts.
The bonus part is important. It won't be edited. This is in the archives.
This is in the archives.
This is in the Centurion archives.
Gotta be kidding me. 10 years now you wanna get rid of me. Suddenly you're not into me and you say that you're sick of me. Playing your friends a sad tune, violent melody. Cleverly hiding the fact that you lied to them heavily. At the crack of dawn I'm saluting the reveille. Training for the enemy, taking bullets ready and willingly. I see my boy and he said regrettably, your broads with this dude caressing affectionately. At the time it was killing me, but instead of climbing on a ledge I'm like hell nah, she's dead to me. It's probably the best thing that ever happened to me, cause I got my degree and I'm equipped with dope weaponry. All these energies revealing the better me, leading from the front so there's nobody ahead of me. I keep a straight line running through these lanes, but I really can't say no names, no way.
No names, one by the other makes slave. You're losing the game. I fucking play, you'll never be the same. Never be the same.
The struggle is beautiful. I'm in studios, living musicals, sipping broom, puffing on pharmaceutical. I make magic even if I'm in a shitty mood.
I am the captain now. Watch out, homie.
Oh, he ain't looking.
Put it away. He's a ninja.
Hey, Sergeant Hooper, put that shit away.
Thank you for watching episode 3, Struggle Beyond the Decade, a documentary series. I'm Cameron Tross. Stay tuned for episode 4.
This has been a Fat Ham production.
That's the end of the show.
Yeah, but here's it. Now here's the thing though.